You've reached the end of the day tired, but not at peace. You lie down, turn off the light, and just when everything should grow quiet, your mind starts speaking louder. It revisits the past, anticipates tomorrow, creates problems where there should only be rest. The body wants to sleep, but the mind refuses to surrender. Over time, you've been led to believe this is normal, that sleeping poorly is part of adulthood, that nighttime anxiety is something you simply learn to live with. But it isn't. You were not made to exist in constant tension or to spend your nights fighting yourself. Anxiety is not your natural state. It is a signal that your mind has forgotten how to let go. And tonight, you are not here to force sleep or to control your thoughts. You are here because you deserve to quiet your mind and sleep without anxiety. During these 2 hours of Stoic philosophy to silence the mind and sleep without anxiety, you will hear teachings designed to soften the inner noise, loosen your grip on control, and give your body permission to rest again. The Stoics did not believe in forcing sleep. They understood that rest arrives when resistance ends. You don't need to do anything special or try harder. Just listen. Let the day fall behind you and allow calm to do its work. Because tonight, you didn't come here to think more. You came here to rest. If these words are helping quiet your mind even a little, save this space so you can return whenever you need it. Subscribing is a simple way to remind yourself that you don't have to face restless nights alone or keep fighting anxiety in silence. And tell us in the comments, what is the hardest thing for you to let go of when it's time to sleep? Putting it into words might be the first step toward resting more deeply. First lesson, breathe, so the mind can settle and sleep can arrive. Imagine you're caught in a wild river while rafting. The water rushes hard, the currents push you without warning, and you keep hitting rocks as you struggle not to flip over. You don't control the direction. You just react. When anxiety shows up at night, the mind works in exactly the same way. You lie down with the intention to rest, and before you realize it, you're already in the river. Your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, and your thoughts begin spinning without restraint. And the more you try to sleep, the stronger the current pulls you. Nighttime anxiety rarely begins in the mind. It begins in the body. The body remains on alert, as if there were still something to solve, something to monitor, something to fear. And until the body receives the signal that everything is safe, the mind will not quiet down. That's why trying to sleep by thinking less doesn't work. The river doesn't calm down by arguing with the water. It calms when you regain the rudder. That rudder is your breath. It may sound simple, almost too obvious, but here lies one of the most important keys to sleeping in peace. This isn't about breathing mechanically. It's about breathing in a way that tells your body the fight is over. When you breathe quickly and shallowly, your system believes you are still in danger. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you send a very different message. There is nothing left to handle right now. We can rest. The Stoics understood this deeply, even if they didn't explain it in modern language. Epictetus spoke about maintaining a tranquil spirit even in chaos, and that tranquility always began within. Imagine his life. Noise, arguments, humiliation, constant uncertainty, no guaranteed quiet room, no comfortable bed waiting for him. And yet, he learned not to let his mind overflow. How? By pausing, by breathing, by observing what was happening inside before reacting to what was happening outside. At night, something similar happens. There are no market shouts, no public disputes, no external conflict. But another noise appears, the noise of your own thoughts. The mind revisits conversations, mistakes, unfinished decisions, fears about tomorrow. And the more you attach yourself to that noise, the more awake you become. Breathing well is the most direct way to interrupt that cycle without fighting it. When you lengthen your breath, the body receives a very clear biological signal. The heart slows down. The muscles soften. The nervous system steps out of defense mode. It's like gradually turning off the lights in a house that no longer needs to stay awake. It isn't instant, but it is profound. And most importantly, it doesn't require mental effort, only presence. Think of a simple, familiar scene. You're in bed, in the dark. Everything around you is silent, but you are not. There's that uncomfortable restlessness in your chest. Your mind begins reminding you of what you didn't do, what you could have said, what might go wrong tomorrow. Every part of you wants to grab onto those thoughts, resolve them, close them before sleep. But that's the trap. Solving is not resting. In that moment, instead of following the mental thread, bring your attention to your breathing, not to force it to change, but simply to notice it. Is it shallow, fast, tight? Just observing it already begins to loosen something inside. Then, without hurry, allow the air to enter more slowly, more deeply, and leave even more gently. You're not trying to sleep. You're stopping the fight. And when the fight ends, sleep arrives on its own. One simple way to help your body understand that it can let go is to lengthen the exhale. Inhale calmly, pause for a moment, then release the air as if you're in no rush to breathe in again. That pause tells your nervous system there is no urgency. Do it several times without counting, without forcing, as if you were teaching your body how to yawn from the inside. Sleeping well doesn't begin when you close your eyes. It begins when you stop demanding calm and start creating it. Breathing this way is not just another technique. It is an intelligent surrender. It is accepting that tonight you do not need to solve your life. You only need to rest from it. And here is the most important truth. Sometimes the greatest act of courage before sleep is not thinking one more thought, but remaining in silence a few seconds longer, breathing, and trusting that everything else can wait until tomorrow. When the body feels safe, the mind turns off and rest finally comes. Rest. Lesson 2. Rewrite your story, not your defeat. Imagine you've spent the whole day with a stone in your shoe. At first it's just annoying, then it starts to hurt. And eventually it changes the way you walk. You start limping, dragging your body, thinking the problem is everything else. The ground, the path, the shoes. But no, the stone is still there. And the most absurd part is you could take it out yourself, if you wanted to. That's what happens when you get stuck in emotions that don't depend on you. They become that invisible weight keeping you from walking straight, but you still won't take your foot out. Here's an example that might sound a little too familiar. You're waiting for a reply. You saw them online. They read your message. No response. You've spent the whole afternoon rereading what you sent, wondering if you should message again, imagining excuses, explanations, or drama that doesn't even exist. And in the meantime, you're falling apart. You can't focus, you feel anxious, you feel less, but tell me, do you really think their reply depends on you? No. What does depend on you is how you interpret that silence, whether you fill it with pain or with dignity, whether you keep waiting or decide to move on. Think of what Epictetus said. Don't be upset by things that aren't under your control. But when something is under your control, start working on it now. Stoics didn't deny suffering, but they dismantled it. They knew pain multiplies when you confuse what you can influence with what you can't. And when you do that over and over again, what you feel isn't just sadness, it's despair. Because nothing is more frustrating than fighting a battle you can't win. Picture Epictetus today, staring at his phone, frowning, waiting for a reply. Or worse, checking the read receipt and opening the app every 5 minutes to see if the person's online. Do you think he'd be obsessed with that? Spoiler, no. He'd probably think, they must be busy with something that's out of my control. Then he'd go back to writing in his notebook, living his day, building his peace. That was his focus, and it should be ours too. So, are you ready to stop feeling like this and start climbing out by asking yourself, really asking, what depends on you and what doesn't? First, let's follow the advice of psychologist Julie Smith, author of Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? She suggests one of the most useful exercises for when you're emotionally stuck. Make a 2-column list. On one side, write what depends on you. On the other, what doesn't. Seeing it clearly gives you instant clarity. Break your thoughts down one by one. For example, that they apologize to me, not up to you. That I apologize if I messed up. That is, that my boss values me. No. That I do excellent work, yes, even that people understand me, no. That I explain myself clearly, yes. Do this with everything that's hurting you right now. Second, take that column of things you can't control and picture it as a spam folder. A folder you can empty, one you don't have to check every day. It exists, but it doesn't run your life. Third, choose just one thing from the column of what is up to you and act on it. Just one. If you feel lonely, stop waiting for someone to call and make the call yourself. If you're waiting for change, take the first step. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to remind yourself that you're still in charge. And what if the thing that's dragging you down is just something out of your control? Then stop fighting what you can't change and start building from where you can. Because right there, that's where your real strength begins. And maybe where your way out begins too. Lesson 3. Build a routine that gives you structure. I always screw things up. I'm not good at this. Here we go again, what a mess. How did I not see this coming? Sound familiar? Probably does. And you don't just say these things once. You repeat them like they're absolute truth. You make a mistake, and your first instinct isn't to support yourself, it's to attack. As if the only way to get better were to beat yourself up. But let me ask you something, my friend. If a friend talked to you the way you talk to yourself when you fail, would you still be friends with them? Or better yet, if someone you can't stand spoke to you that way, would you put up with it? What you wouldn't accept from someone else, you allow from yourself. And that's the issue. That voice in your head isn't neutral. It doesn't just slip by unnoticed. That voice shapes your whole day. And if it's filled with pressure, judgment, and guilt, all it really does is trigger your anxiety. Because you end up living in threat mode, even when you're all alone. The Stoics understood this more deeply than you'd think. Epictetus once wrote, "First, say to yourself what you will be, then do what you have to do." He didn't say repeat insults or convince yourself you're not capable. He said define your direction. Let your inner voice guide you, not crush you. Because if you choose to be someone strong, compassionate, and steady, then you need to speak to yourself like someone who's trying to become that. And yes, science backs this up too. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett proved that emotions aren't just automatic reactions, like many people believe. They're built. And one of the main tools that builds them is language. In other words, what you say to yourself directly affects how you feel. Your inner dialogue can fuel your anxiety or help shut it down. Charlie Mackesy, the British illustrator known for The Boy, The Mole, The Fox, and The Horse, learned this in his own way. He shared how anxiety used to leave him frozen. But something began to shift when he changed the way he spoke to himself. In one of his most famous drawings, the boy asks the horse, "What's the bravest thing you've ever said?" And the horse replies, "Help." Sometimes treating yourself with compassion is the bravest thing you can do. Think about something every day. You're in a rush, you make a mistake, you take the wrong highway exit. Normally you'd snap, "You idiot," distracted again. But what if instead you said, "I'm stressed, and even so, I'm doing the best I can." Feels different, doesn't it? And better yet, it feels different. So here are 3 small shifts you can start making today to talk to yourself better. First, swap "I am" for "I feel." You're not anxious. You feel anxious. You're not a failure. You're going through a rough time. What you feel doesn't define who you are. Second, every time you criticize yourself, add this phrase, "And even so, I'm learning." It's a way to remind yourself that messing up doesn't make you less worthy. Third, talk to yourself the way a coach who truly believes in you would. One who corrects without shaming, who encourages without demanding perfection, who sticks with you even when you fall. Because the voice you hear the most in your life is your own. So it better be one that helps you move forward, not one that keeps tripping you up. And if you truly want to get rid of anxiety, start right there, by talking to yourself like someone who deserves peace. Because you do. Now tell me, have you caught yourself speaking harshly to yourself lately? What's that phrase you keep repeating that you know isn't helping anymore? Share in the comments how you're going to start changing your inner voice, or simply write, "I speak to myself with calm," as a commitment to yourself. Lesson 4. Accept without giving up. Have you ever felt trapped in a situation that seems impossible to escape? Those moments when everything you planned falls apart and despair washes over you. It's like swimming against an insurmountable current. But what if you stopped fighting against that current and let it carry you? Embracing your fate means accepting that every blow, every fall, is part of a larger journey. It's like when the wave pulls you under. If you go with it, you realize it can help you stay afloat. But how do we learn to go with the flow? By following the Stoic teaching of amor fati, of course. You might be wondering, what is the essence of amor fati? Seneca summed it up well when he said, "Fate guides those who accept it and drags those who resist. When we flow with what life presents, we find strength. But when we resist, we get trapped in frustration." It's not just about accepting what happens in life. It's about loving every experience, even the most difficult ones. Stoics taught that life isn't made up of pleasant moments alone. Challenges and adversities are an integral part of our path. For them, resisting the inevitable meant missing the chance to learn and grow. By embracing fate, Stoics turned blows into the strength that propelled them to improve. Instead of complaining or resisting, they viewed each difficulty as a lesson. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett explains that our interpretation of events shapes our emotions. If we tell ourselves that a failure is the end, that's how we'll feel. But if we view it as a lesson, our emotions shift. It's not just about mental strength, it's also about having people who help you reinterpret those tough moments. A support network can be key to facing challenges with a Stoic mindset. Imagine you've lost your job. At first you feel devastated. Everything you planned, the goals you set, seems to crumble before your eyes. Fear and frustration overwhelm you, and you can't stop thinking, "What am I going to do now?" You feel as if life has turned its back on you, that you have no control, and each passing day drowns you a little more in anxiety. You cling to resentment, resisting the acceptance of what has happened, and that consumes you. But if you embrace your fate, you start to see this ending as, in fact, the beginning of something new. Perhaps it's the opportunity to reinvent yourself, to explore paths you had always postponed. You free yourself from the burden of what if, and begin to see the situation from a new perspective, as a lesson that will help you become more resilient. How can you start applying this idea in your life? First, make sure to surround yourself with people who support you in finding the light amid the darkness. The people around you greatly impact how you face difficulties. Seek friends or family who help you view challenges as opportunities instead of sinking further into despair. They can offer a perspective you might not see in tough times, and sometimes you just need someone to remind you that there's always something good to discover. Additionally, practice active acceptance. Stop resisting what you can't change and start recognizing the value in every situation. Every time you face a problem, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Accepting what happens doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing the energy you waste in resistance to focus on what you can truly control. Remember, when life hits you, don't resist it. Go with the flow, because it's there that you will find the true strength to overcome the toughest moments. Lesson 5. Surround yourself with voices that lift you. I remember a time when everything fell apart without warning. My partner was offered a job abroad. For him, it was a huge career move, but for me, it felt like the ground had been ripped out from under my feet. The idea of being apart for months, of not knowing what would happen, filled my head with noise, with doubts, with fears I didn't even know how to manage. And even though I tried to stay strong, the hardest part wasn't the change itself. It was everything I started to hear around me. My friends, the ones I'd known forever, started saying things like, "That's not going to work. You'll see. He's going to stay there and leave you. You're wasting your time on someone who doesn't even know what he wants." And they said it like they were being kind, like they were helping. But I came home feeling worse, more alone, more insecure, like the whole world already knew it would end badly, except me. And when I tried to distract myself, I made another mistake. I opened social media, TikTok, Instagram, anything to fill the silence. But all I found was people showing off perfect relationships, couples hugging at airports, videos with captions like, "If they're not with you now, they don't deserve you ever." None of it helped. It was like the world was screaming that my relationship had no future, and I was being a fool for believing in it. Without even realizing it, I was surrounding myself with voices that were dragging me deeper into the hole I was already struggling to climb out of. Until one day, after a particularly hard conversation, something clicked. Not all those people were bad. Not all that content was toxic. They just weren't what I needed right then. So I started choosing better, literally. I muted group chats, unfollowed accounts that didn't make me feel good, and I searched for new voices because I realized it wasn't just about what I thought. It was about what I kept hearing. On one of those days when I needed support but didn't want to talk to anyone, I played a playlist of motivational quotes someone had sent me. And that's when I heard a quote from Marcus Aurelius that stuck with me. "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And I thought, also with the color of the voices you let in. If all you hear daily is complaints, sarcasm, and judgment, your soul dries up. But if you hear words that support you, that invite you to keep going, that remind you of your worth, that leaves a mark too. Think about your day. You're feeling low, lost, and you open Twitter. You start reading nonsense comments, terrible news, endless comparisons. And when you close it, not only are you not better, you're worse. Because your environment is digital too, and you choose every day what you feed your mind. Not long ago, I heard something really useful from Jay Shetty, former monk and host of the On Purpose podcast. He talks about creating mental environments on purpose, not waiting until you're falling apart to figure out what helps, but having your emotional emergency kit ready beforehand. A folder with audios, quotes, voices, interviews, anything you know will help when you're spiraling. Because when pain hits, you're not in a good place to make decisions. But if you already have it prepared, you can just reach for it. Have you ever tried something like that? Start by making a playlist, not of music, but of voices. People who inspire you, even if you don't know them. Podcasts, videos, even voice notes from friends who lift you up. If you have a friend who always leaves you feeling better, ask them to send you a message with something they'd say to you on a bad day. And every time the mental noise gets too loud, hit play. It might seem silly, but it could be the one thing that keeps you from falling apart that day. My friend, you can't always change what you feel, but you can change what you hear while you're feeling it. And sometimes that's all it takes to keep from collapsing inside. Now tell us in the comments, what voices help pull you out when everything goes dark? Got one we should all hear too? And if any part of you feels like you can't keep going like this, maybe the next step is watching that other video on screen. It's not just an extra. It's a continuation of this path to rebuilding yourself from the inside. It will help you hold on when you need it most. Sixth lesson. Live with amor fati. We all face challenges and situations beyond our control. Sometimes, life seems filled with moments we wouldn't choose to experience. But what if, instead of resisting, we decided to embrace them with a total acceptance attitude? Living with amor fati means loving and accepting everything life presents, including difficulties. It's about viewing challenging experiences not as obstacles to endure, but as opportunities to grow, learn, and strengthen ourselves. But don't get it wrong. It doesn't mean giving up. On the contrary, the Stoics practice this concept to transform every challenge into an opportunity. Amor fati invites us to free ourselves from resistance and to see that every situation, even the toughest ones, has a purpose in our journey. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This teaches us to view fate not as something imposed, but as an essential part of our lives. Accepting fate is a powerful tool for overcoming life's toughest moments. We know what the Stoics told us. Although we can't control external events, we can choose how we interpret them. By adopting amor fati, we not only stop fighting against what happens to us, but also find a source of strength in every challenge. What if, instead of seeing difficulties as failures, you viewed them as an essential part of your story? This liberates you from complaints and allows you to act from a place of calm and acceptance. Author Oliver Burkeman, in The Antidote. Happiness for People Who Can't Stand Positive Thinking offers a refreshing perspective on amor fati. Instead of avoiding pain or chasing relentless success, he invites us to accept all experiences, both good and bad. Burkeman explains how many people, in trying to avoid failure, end up trapped in stress and anxiety. What should we do instead? He suggests embracing those uncomfortable experiences. This approach liberates us and allows us to find deeper peace, accepting that failure is an essential part of the growth process. Imagine this scenario. You're at the peak of your career, striving every day to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. However, in the process, you begin to miss important moments with your family, and stress has become part of your daily life. You try to control every little detail at work, seeking perfection in everything. Yet that constant struggle to have everything under control wears you down. What if, instead of resisting, you chose to accept those difficulties as part of your journey, learning to live with what you cannot change? How can you start living with amor fati? First, create a wall of acceptance in your personal space, where you place images and phrases that represent the experiences you've lived and decided to accept. This will serve as a visual reminder that every part of your story has value. Second, perform a farewell ritual whenever you face a significant change. Take a moment to reflect on what you're leaving behind and what you're carrying with you. Third, choose a mantra of amor fati to repeat during difficult moments, such as, "Everything that comes is what I need." This will help reprogram your mind to accept reality. Fourth, engage in activities that challenge your comfort zone. By experiencing new things, you'll learn to accept the unexpected and find joy in the unknown. Finally, practice meditation on fate. Sit in silence and reflect on what has happened in your life, accepting each event as part of your personal journey. Adopting amor fati will change your perspective on life. It's no longer about avoiding problems, but about accepting them as a necessary part of your growth. When you embrace this philosophy, difficult moments are no longer barriers. They become steps on your path toward a fuller and more resilient life. Lesson 7. Let it out without sinking deeper. Once upon a time, a wise man was approached by a young man, his voice trembling. "I feel like I'm breaking inside," he said. "I have rage, fear, guilt, but if I let it out, I'll fall apart. What am I supposed to do with all this?" The wise man paused for a moment, then leaned toward him and offered a bowl filled with murky water. He said, "Stir it up as much as you like." The young man did, and the water got even dirtier. Then the wise man said, "Now drink it." The boy refused. "See," said the wise man, "that's what you do to yourself. You stir up your pain only to swallow it afterward. Let it out, yes, but not to wallow in it. Let it out the way you'd clean a wound, gently, to heal it, not to reopen it. That's the difference between releasing your pain and sinking deeper into it. You get it instantly when it happens to you. You've been carrying this tightness in your chest for days. It's not some huge tragedy, but it weighs on you. A fight with your father that keeps replaying like an old track. He throws out the same line as always. You never do anything right. You try to breathe, stay calm, but inside, something in you hits the floor. You stay silent. Again. Someone asks how you're doing and you hit them with the classic, "I'm fine," but you're not. Because that "I'm fine" is swallowing you whole. At night you can't sleep, but you don't want to think either. You lie on the couch with the TV on, scrolling on your phone like that might numb something. You end up rereading old messages, looking at photos that don't hurt anymore, but don't heal either. And suddenly, you're crying quietly, not to hide it from anyone, just because even your own sadness makes you uncomfortable. And when you finally manage to close your eyes, the only thought left is, I can't keep going like this. But listen, this sadness won't go away on its own. Bottling it up isn't bravery, it's punishment. And letting it out doesn't mean falling apart. It means giving yourself the chance to climb out of the pit without digging deeper with your own thoughts. So how can you do it without losing yourself in the process? Start by writing, but not just in any way. Give it shape, give it direction. Just like psychologist Cathy Morton recommends, do a guided emotional release. Write it like a letter or a scene. Try "Letter to My Sadness," for example. No filters, no corrections. Let it pour out. And at the end of that page, add one line that brings your power back. Something like, "And even so, I'm still here." Then wait an hour. Go back and read it as if someone else wrote it. What do you feel? Compassion, exhaustion, harshness? That moment will give you clarity. You'll see whether you're speaking to yourself with empathy or just judgment, whether you're letting go or clenching your fist tighter. And now, one last thing. End with a sentence that sounds like hope, not resignation. Something like, "Tomorrow I'll try again." Because that one line reframes everything you just wrote. That closing can become the beginning of a new way to hold yourself up. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He said, "The first rule is to keep a calm spirit. The second, to face things and see them for what they are." And if he, an emperor, a warrior, a man often broken on the inside, wrote every night about what he felt, what he thought, what he feared, don't you think there's a reason? So let it out. Write it down. Get it out of you, but do it to cleanse, not to wallow. And tell me in the comments, when was the last time you truly let it out? Did it help you, or did it pull you down further? Share it if you want, because here we're learning to hold each other up too. Lesson 8. Strengthen your resilience. Imagine life as a turbulent river. Some people sink when the waters get rough, while others manage to stay afloat and move forward. Resilience is that ability that allows us not only to endure, but also to keep going when everything seems to be against us. The good news is that we can all strengthen our resilience just as the Stoics did, by facing each challenge as an opportunity to grow. Resilience is the key to overcoming life's toughest moments. For the Stoics, being resilient didn't just mean enduring pain, it meant embracing those challenges as an inevitable part of fate. Every difficulty is an opportunity to grow and strengthen ourselves. The Stoics teach us to use our darkest moments to discover our true strength. When we face adversity with resilience, we transform pain into learning and obstacles into opportunities for progress. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. Resilience is precisely that ability to see obstacles not as breaks, but as the drive we need to move forward. If you feel like you're not resilient enough or that it's hard to get back up after each blow, don't worry. Resilience isn't something we're born with. It's a skill that we can all develop little by little. Psychologist Amy Morin demonstrates this in her book, 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. You don't need to be invincible from the start. Morin advises that to become more resilient, we must trust in our abilities, surround ourselves with supportive people, and learn to adapt to changes. Each challenge you overcome makes you stronger, and over time, you'll see that obstacles no longer hold you back. They propel you forward. Imagine facing a crisis with a close family member. Perhaps you've had a heated argument with a parent or sibling, and the words exchanged have left a deep mark. The relationship, once close, is now tense and filled with resentment. The stress and emotional pain are evident, making you feel as if there's no turning back. Situations like these truly shake us, don't they? It's precisely in these moments that Stoic resilience comes into play. Instead of reacting with more anger or letting resentment grow, the Stoics encourage us to step back, breathe, and ask ourselves, what is under my control in this situation? While you may not be able to change what your family member said or did, you can control your reaction. You can choose reconciliation, offer an apology, or let go of the grudge. This approach not only strengthens the relationship, but also empowers you, as you choose to master your emotions rather than let them control you. How can you strengthen your resilience? First, accept that change is a part of life. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, and accepting uncertainty helps us adapt better. Face changes as opportunities for growth. Second, develop a support network. Surround yourself with people who motivate you to keep moving forward, even when everything seems to go wrong. Resilience is fortified when we know we're not alone. Third, maintain an optimistic yet realistic mindset. Don't ignore problems, but remember that each one has a solution. The key is to hold on to hope while actively working to resolve them. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen yourself, not to defeat you. By applying Stoic teachings, you will not only overcome life's toughest moments, but also learn to see obstacles as the springboard to your best self. Don't forget, within you lies a strength you may not even know exists, and every difficulty is an opportunity to discover it. Ninth lesson: observe your emotions without hiding. You're on the subway. It's 8:30 in the morning. It's hot, the train is packed, and there's this awkward silence where everyone's pretending to be fine. But you're not fine. Your stomach's in knots, there's a strange emptiness in your chest. And even though you look calm on the outside, inside it feels like you're about to break. You don't even know why. Nothing major has happened, but suddenly you feel like crying. And instead of stopping and taking care of yourself, you do what most of us do. You pull out your phone, open Instagram, scroll through memes, pretend everything's normal. But your body knows the truth. Your hands are cold, your jaw is tight. And while you scroll like nothing's wrong, the anxiety keeps building inside you. Like a wave you refuse to look at. But that's going to crash into you anyway. My friend, anxiety often doesn't show up because something external is attacking us. It shows up because we've spent so long ignoring what we feel that the body starts screaming what the mind refuses to see. And I'm not the only one saying this. Susan David, a Harvard psychologist and author of the book Emotional Agility, says that uncomfortable emotions aren't enemies, they're messengers. They don't come to bother you. They come to show you something you need to face. But of course, no one ever taught us that. We were trained to ignore them, to fake it, to keep going like nothing's happening. Until one day, you just can't anymore. Epictetus understood this perfectly. He wouldn't have said that feeling anger or sadness is bad. On the contrary, he might have put it like this: it's not the feeling itself that harms you, but judging that feeling as bad. The real problem isn't that you feel anxiety, fear, or exhaustion. The problem is that you deny it, bury it, hide it, and that's what ends up overwhelming you. The first step to releasing the anxiety you're carrying is to stop fighting it. And to do that, you have to learn how to observe your emotions. And I know what you're thinking. How do you do that without getting lost in the process? It's easier than it seems, you just have to practice. First, name what you're feeling. But for real, don't just say, "I feel bad." Say, "I'm frustrated because I feel like I'm not making progress." Or, "I'm feeling restless because I'm not sure what I want." Naming what you feel is like turning on a light in a dark room. It doesn't fix the problem, but it stops being some invisible threat. Also, try the traffic light technique. It's super simple and it works. Red, stop, pause whatever you're doing, even if it's just for 30 seconds. Yellow, observe. Where do you feel it? What triggered it? What emotion is underneath it all? It might be fear, shame, exhaustion. Whatever it is, just notice it. And green, choose. What do you need right now? A breath, a conversation, a change of scenery. You don't have to solve everything. Just take the next step that brings you closer to calm, not chaos. This might seem like such a small practice, but trust me, it's powerful. Because anxiety doesn't always come from feeling too much. It often comes from holding everything in. And when you finally give space to what you've been carrying, your mind stops fighting itself. And that, even if it sounds small, is a massive relief. Think of it this way. Emotions are like little kids. If you ignore them, they scream. But if you kneel down, look them in the eye, and ask what's wrong, they calm down. Do the same with yourself. Listen more. Because sometimes, what your anxiety is asking of you isn't to do more. It's to finally dare to feel. And that, right there, is where true liberation begins. Lesson 10. Breathe like it's the only thing that matters. Imagine your mind is a house filled with smoke. You can't see anything, you can't think clearly, and every move you make stirs up more dust, more confusion. It's like being trapped in an emotional fire, and the worst part is, you don't even know where the flames are coming from. You just know you're in the middle of it, surrounded by chaos. And the only thing that can really start to clear it all is air, breathing. But not just any kind of breathing, one that tells your body, you're safe. Now picture this, or maybe it's already happened to you. You're driving, stuck in endless traffic, haven't moved in half an hour. Your phone rings, it's work. Not because you're late, but because yesterday, without meaning to, you said something in a client meeting you shouldn't have. The spiral begins. Why did I say that? What are they going to think? What if they fire me? What if I ruined everything? You're sweating. Hands clenched on the wheel, neck stiff. No, you're not breathing, you're surviving. On autopilot. And you don't even realize it. All you know is your head hurts, your heart's racing, and inside you're about to snap. Just the other day, I heard Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, talk about this. Almost this exact situation. He said, half joking, half serious, that when he gets in a taxi, he sometimes ends up teaching the driver how to breathe differently. That's how important he thinks it is. And even if it sounds funny, he said it with total conviction. Most of us don't know how to breathe when we need it most. Then he shared something that really stuck with me. He talked about the physiological sigh, 2 quick inhales through the nose, followed by a slow exhale through the mouth. Had you heard of it? According to his research, it's one of the fastest ways to calm your nervous system. No music, no candles, no cushions, just air, just you, and the awareness that you're still here. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this centuries ago. He said the present is the only thing we truly own. The past is gone, the future hasn't arrived. But when we're overwhelmed, when the world feels like it's collapsing, we drift away from that present. We get stuck in what was or what might be, and miss the one thing we actually have, this moment. And what's the quickest way to get back into your body, into the now? Breathing. It seems simple, right? But it's like a rope that pulls you back to the ground when you're floating in fear. So my friend, next time you feel like you're losing control, don't try to think your way out of it. Don't force yourself to have it all figured out. Just stop, breathe. Do that double inhale through your nose, then slowly let it go through your mouth. Do it 3 times, that's it. Then look around like you're landing back in your life. You can also go for a short walk, even just 5 minutes. And with every step, repeat to yourself, I'm here, I'm now. It's not magic, it's focus. A simple way to anchor yourself to life when everything feels like it's too much. Because yes, there are days when it feels like everything's falling apart. But if you can stop for just a moment and breathe, really breathe, you're already rebuilding from the inside. Because no one climbs out of the pit without taking a breath first. Now tell me, when was the last time you truly breathed calmly? Let me know in the comments. And if you have a technique that helps when everything's falling apart, share it. What worked for you might be exactly what someone else needs to start again. Lesson 11. Mentally prepare for the unexpected. There are days that seem totally normal, until they're not. You wake up with a clear idea of how it's all going to go, and then, boom, a message you didn't expect, a call that shifts your mood, bad news, a problem that wasn't on the agenda. And suddenly your body switches to high alert, your heart races, your mind starts running wild. What was a calm morning becomes a mental firestorm. Anxiety often doesn't come from the problem itself, but from the impact it has when you're not ready. Because what's unexpected doesn't just hurt, it throws you off. And if your mind isn't trained for that, it's easy to get swept away. This is something Julio de la Iglesia knows very well. Maybe you've seen him in a talk or online. But before he ever spoke about emotions, Julio was a bomb disposal expert. His job was to get closer to the things everyone else ran from. And believe it or not, his most powerful tool wasn't his protective suit. It was his mind. Before every mission, he would stop for a moment, breathe, ask himself what could go wrong. And in his head, he'd rehearse the chaos. Not out of obsession, but to show up ready. So that if something failed, his body wouldn't freeze in fear, but move into action. So anxiety wouldn't steal precious time. Because once you've already imagined the worst, you gain something extremely valuable: response time. And you don't need to face explosives to use this. We all have situations that shake us up: an uncomfortable meeting, an unexpected bill, a doctor's appointment that worries us. The difference between facing them with anxiety or with calm doesn't come from making them disappear. It comes from how you show up to that moment. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't wait for the hit to start thinking. They trained every day for what might come. Not because they were cold or detached, but because they understood something that you can use too. When your mind has already walked through hard scenarios, the unexpected loses its grip on you. So how can you prepare for the unexpected? Imagine you're hosting an important dinner at your place. Everything has to go right: the food, the vibe, nobody bringing up politics. And suddenly, anxiety kicks in. What if the lasagna burns? What if someone's late? What if the conversation goes awkwardly quiet? Ask yourself two key questions. What's the worst that could happen? And what would I do if it did? Just thinking through those answers already brings calm. Because you realize that even if something goes wrong, you can handle it. You're no longer trapped in panic, you're in control. Then imagine 2 plan Bs. You might never need them, but just having them in mind gives you flexibility. Knowing that things don't have to be perfect gives you space, and that space is freedom. And finally, every night before you go to sleep, mentally go over 3 things that could go wrong tomorrow. Not to scare yourself, but to show up armored, to stay steady if chaos comes, so the day doesn't break you before it begins. The Stoics were like firefighters of the mind. They didn't wait for the fire to find the hose. They already had it ready, and you can have it too. Because it's not about living in fear of disaster. It's about being on your feet if it does arrive, ready to act without letting anxiety take over. Lesson 12. Walk like you've already won. Have you ever seen a runner raise their arms at the finish line, even if they came in last? That gesture has nothing to do with position. It's an act of pride, of resilience, of someone who, despite everything, didn't give up. That runner raised their arms because long before reaching the end, they were already walking like they were going to make it. Even with pain in their body, even if they were the last one there, they had already made the decision inside. And that, my friend, isn't self-deception. It's strength. It's walking like someone who doesn't wait to feel strong before acting, but who acts like someone learning to be strong. Because when you're in that pit, when everything feels heavy and your thoughts turn against you, you need a way to start climbing out. And sometimes, that way out begins with your feet, with moving as if you're already arriving, even if there's still a long road ahead. Epictetus said it without sugarcoating it. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. And he knew what he was talking about. Born a slave, he lived with an injured leg, yet he walked with more strength than many free men. The powerful part isn't just that he said it, but that he lived it. He walked upright, he spoke clearly. He carried himself like someone who had already claimed inner freedom, even if on the outside he was still bound. That's the key. It's not about waiting until you feel okay to start moving. It's moving like someone who's already decided to stop being stuck, even if the sadness hasn't gone away yet. Picture this. The alarm goes off. You slept terribly. You wake up with puffy eyes and a tightness in your chest you can't explain. The room's a mess. Clothes everywhere. Yesterday's coffee cup still sitting dirty. You feel like a mess. The usual response: stay in bed. Scroll through videos. Waste another hour drowning mentally. But what if you did the opposite? What if today, of all days, you dressed up just to go buy bread? What if you stepped out the door and walked like you had a purpose, even if you're not sure what that purpose is yet? What if you stood up straighter, slowed your breathing, and lifted your head like someone rebuilding themselves one step at a time? Because here's the truth: your body can lead your mind. When you walk with strength, something inside begins to believe you're stronger than you thought. And that's not pretending, it's training. Athlete and entrepreneur Nick Bare, who knows a thing or two about discipline and mindset, says, "If you want to be an athlete, act like one. Eat, sleep, move like one, even before you have the body." It's the same with any change. Want to start a business? Carry yourself like someone who already owns $1 million company. Want to stop feeling stuck? Start walking like someone learning to live again. You're probably thinking, it's not that easy. That you can't just get up, take a walk, and bam, the sadness disappears. And you're right, it's not magic. But let me show you why that first step, even if it seems small, can change everything. Because when you do it, when you act even without the will, something inside begins to move too. Start with the physical. Don't overthink it, just get moving. Walk like someone who refuses to give up. Even if every step hurts, even if sadness walks beside you like a shadow. Then, pay attention to the details. Are you slouching? Eyes down? Fix just one thing: you're training your body to resist. And finally, reward yourself. Not with something material, but with the quiet recognition that you did it. You got up, you moved forward. And that, my friend, already sets you apart from the version of you that stayed in bed yesterday. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly: action is what defines character. So even if you're shattered inside today, let your steps say otherwise. Because sometimes walking like you've already won is the only thing that can save you. Lesson 13. Breathe well to think better. Imagine you're in a wild river going rafting. The currents are dragging you with no control. You're slamming into rocks, swallowing water, just holding on however you can to avoid flipping over. That's exactly how your mind works when you're anxious. You don't even know how you got into that state, but there you are, with a tight chest, a clenched jaw, and your head spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the most dangerous thing isn't what's happening outside. It's how you react on the inside. That's how anxiety works. It hits you out of nowhere, without asking for permission, and pulls you under like that raging river. But my friend, there's a tool that can help you take the wheel again. It might not look like much, but it changes everything: your breath. And yeah, I know, it sounds simple. But it's not just about breathing for the sake of it. It's about breathing well, with intention, with pause, with presence. Because when you control your breath, you start to control your anxiety. It's one of the simplest, most powerful ways to come back to center. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest voices, made it crystal clear. The first rule is to keep a calm mind. Breathing well gives you that moment. It's choosing to respond with clarity instead of impulse. Now picture it, this freed slave walking through the streets of Rome, surrounded by noise, arguments, vendors shouting at him in the market, insults from arrogant citizens looking down on him. And how do you think he reacted? Do you think he shouted back? Argued with everyone just to be right? No. Epictetus breathed. He paused. He observed his mind. And only then did he decide how to act. Learning to breathe isn't some trendy nonsense. Even if it sounds basic, it's one of the strongest tools you have to calm your mind when anxiety takes over. James Nestor, author of the book Breath, said it clearly: changing how you breathe changes how you think, how you make decisions, and even how you experience fear. It's not just oxygen, it's a mental strategy. When you breathe fast and shallow, your body thinks you're in danger. But if you breathe slowly and deeply, you activate a biological signal that says, it's okay, we're not at war. And that's when things start to shift. Your heart rate slows down, your muscles relax, and that urge to explode or run away deflates. Now picture this situation, just to see how proper breathing can wipe out anxiety in a second. You're in the kitchen. Your partner says they want to talk to you about something that happened a few days ago. You thought that was already settled, and suddenly, that discomfort starts building. Your stomach tightens, your heart races, your mind gears up for battle. Everything in you wants to respond, defend, shut it down. But what if instead you paused? Just 3 deep breaths. The difference is massive. Your body lowers its guard, your mind stops seeing the other person as a threat. And what you were about to say while shouting, now you say it while thinking. This isn't magic. It's practice. So, my friend, do you want to become a master of your breath? First, when you realize your anxiety is rising in the middle of a situation, don't try to fix anything right away. Just focus on observing your breath. Is it shallow? Fast? Don't change it. Just observe. That alone breaks the automatic pattern. Second, when you feel like you need to regain control, use the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7, and exhale slowly for 8. Do this 3 times before responding, before deciding, before reacting. You'll feel the difference. And now think about this. What if the bravest thing you could do wasn't to react, but to stay silent for just 3 more seconds? Sometimes breathing well isn't just a way to calm down. It's how you return to yourself, take back the reins, and start to recover your inner freedom. And when anxiety is gripping tight, that changes everything. Lesson 14. Win at something small today. When you're sad, everything feels like climbing Everest. Brushing your teeth, exhausting, taking out the trash. An emotional marathon, replying to that one message, feels like scaling an impossible wall. The problem isn't the task itself. It's your mind blowing it up because it feels like it just can't handle one more thing. And right there, in the middle of that internal chaos, is when you most need a small win. One small win, no matter how tiny, can be the start of real change. My friend Seneca said it clearly. Life is long if you know how to live it. And living it doesn't mean having everything under control or being strong every minute. It means giving yourself permission to start with something. Anything. Because a small action done with intention carries more weight than 1,000 thoughts that lead nowhere. When you're broken inside, when even getting out of bed feels impossible, the last thing you need is to demand more from yourself. What you do need is to recover momentum, the slightest bit, the simplest form. Picture this. You're home, drained. You've spent hours spinning in your own head, overwhelmed by how bad you feel. You look around. Everything's a mess, too much to handle. You think, I was supposed to clean the whole kitchen today, but you know you can't. So instead, you pick one drawer, just one, the cutlery drawer. You empty it, clean it, organize it. It's not a big deal, but you did it. And when you close it, something inside you settles too. That tiny push has a name. Content creator Ali Abdaal calls it positive momentum. According to him, if you do a low-friction task, something easy that doesn't require much mental energy, you spark a bit of drive that helps you keep going. It's not just theory. He uses it every day to stay organized, even when he's exhausted. And this isn't just for super productive people. It's a tool for anyone who needs a gentle way to begin again when life feels too heavy. A soft nudge that tells your mind, you're not defeated, you're just stuck. And it's not just me saying this. Kimberly Davis, a woman who experienced extreme anxiety during the pandemic, wrote on her blog that what saved her was something as simple as watering one plant each morning. Just one. No pressure to do more. That small act became her anchor. It was my first accomplishment when everything else was falling apart, she wrote. That plant was more than a green leaf. It was her way of rebuilding from the inside without needing the world to stop shaking. So what about you? What small stone can you move today? When everything feels heavy, do something so simple you don't even have to think twice. Make a cup of tea, hang one shirt, organize that forgotten drawer, or just stretch for 30 seconds. If it's hard to get started, pretend you're doing it for someone else. I'm going to make this space a bit better for whoever comes next, even if that someone is just you an hour from now. And when you finish, don't just move on like nothing happened. No. Pause. Breathe. Look at yourself. Say, I'm in motion. Because a small win only becomes momentum when you let yourself celebrate it. Give it value. Make space for it. Write it down if you want, because if you don't acknowledge it, it disappears. When your mind is sad, it sees mountains where there are only hills. But you don't need to climb the peak today. Just move one stone. And if you move one today, maybe tomorrow you'll be ready for two. That, my friend, is how you start climbing out of the pit without breaking inside. It's how you hold yourself up when everything's heavy. It's how you return to yourself. Lesson 15. Turn failures into triumphs. We've all felt at some point that failure crushes us, like a massive rock falling on top of us, leaving us too weak to go on. It's a natural reaction, isn't it? That feeling of everything collapsing and having no way out. But we can actually turn that rock, that obstacle, into the foundation for building something stronger. Stoics viewed failures as disguised opportunities. How? Instead of sinking into despair, they analyzed each situation to find a lesson that would help them emerge stronger. Marcus Aurelius clearly stated, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Each mistake, each setback, was an opportunity to hone their skills and train their minds. They focused solely on what they could control, their attitude and their actions. A study by psychologist Adam Grant explains that individuals who learn to see their mistakes as starting points are more likely to recover quickly and come out stronger. Grant points out that it's not failure that defines us, but how we choose to interpret it. Like the Stoics, he recommends using every fall as an opportunity to analyze what worked and what didn't. Then, we should apply those lessons practically. By doing so, we turn the toughest moments into turning points. Do you know the story of Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx? She didn't have it easy. Before becoming the billionaire we know today, Blakely failed in her attempt to become a lawyer after repeatedly failing the admission exam. Initially, this took a toll on her. However, over time, she accepted that path wasn't for her and decided to create a business that would change how women wear underwear. How did she achieve this? Thanks to her father, who taught her to celebrate failure. She learned to view every mistake as a lesson. Thus, she was able to face the initial rejections in her business with a positive attitude. What was the outcome? Her company became a global success. So, how can you start turning your failures into triumphs? First, when you fail, take a moment to reflect on what happened. Don't react immediately with frustration. Grab a piece of paper and write down exactly what went wrong and why you think it happened. Then, ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake? Writing things down will help you see the problem from a different perspective, more objectively, and identify opportunities for improvement. Make this a habit every time you encounter an obstacle. Second, don't punish yourself for failing. We all fail, and that doesn't define you. Instead of mentally berating yourself, give yourself a small reward for trying something new, even if it didn't go well. This can be as simple as taking a break, talking to a trusted friend, or giving yourself time to do something you enjoy. The key is to recognize that each failed attempt is a sign that you're making progress, and that progress deserves to be valued. Third, move forward with that lesson in mind. Once you've identified what you can learn from that failure, take a concrete action to apply that lesson the next time you try. It might involve adjusting your approach, preparing better, or completely changing your strategy. The important thing is not to get stuck in what went wrong, but to advance with that experience. Set a small action plan to improve next time, and commit to moving forward. No matter how many times you fall, what truly defines your success is how you get back up and what you do afterward. If you can view your failures as a platform from which to propel yourself, there won't be any obstacle that can stop you. You have the power to transform each mistake into a victory. So the next time you face a stumble, remember, it's not the end. It's just the beginning of something great. Lesson 16. Connect with something bigger than yourself. There are days when it feels like everything revolves only around you. Your pain, your thoughts, your story. It's as if the world shrinks and it's just you, alone with your questions, your failures, your sadness. And the longer you stay in that space, the tighter it becomes. Breathing gets harder. But let me tell you something. Sometimes the way out isn't by looking deeper inside. It's the opposite. It's by lifting your eyes, by remembering you're part of something bigger, that your story isn't the only one. And when you allow yourself to look outward, the pain softens, even if it doesn't vanish. Your sister calls. Again. She asks if you can take Mom to her doctor's appointment, even though today was supposed to be your rest day. Even though you're exhausted, even though all you want is to stay in bed and have no one bother you. But you go, not joyfully, dragging your feet. In the waiting room, your mom takes your hand, looks you in the eye and says, "Thank you for coming, son." It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a revelation. But something shifted inside you. That one phrase reminded you that there's something more important than your discomfort. That even in your exhaustion, you can still be useful, needed, valuable. Sometimes that's all it takes to straighten your soul a little. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." He got it. When you disconnect from the world, you fall apart inside. When you think only of yourself, of your problems, of how bad everything feels, you become a prisoner of your own emotions. But when you connect with something greater, with a cause, with a responsibility, with a belief, your pain becomes bearable. Because it's no longer just yours. Because now, you're not alone. Why is it so hard to pull yourself out of that state? Because you're missing what Alexei Panos calls relational purpose. No, don't worry. You don't need some grand life mission. You don't need to find the meaning of the universe. Just ask yourself, does my presence make things better around me? Am I contributing or just waiting for everything to get better on its own? Her motto is simple: be part of the solution, not part of the noise. And while it might sound small, it can completely shift how you live through your darkest days. And what about you? Have you ever felt that kind of connection? A moment where helping someone else saved you, even just a little? Have you ever talked to God, or to life, or whatever you believe in, as if it was listening? Because sometimes, my friend, what we need isn't for everything to be fixed. We just need something, or someone, to remind us we're not alone. When it feels like you've got nothing left, do something that's not about you. Step out of your story. Help someone who didn't ask. Send a message to that quiet friend. Write a letter to someone who impacted your life, even if you never send it. Or light a candle, close your eyes, and speak with faith. No, you don't have to believe in everything. Just don't forget to believe in something. And if right now you feel stuck, if everything's spinning in circles, try opening a window. Try connecting with something bigger. Because when you're alone with yourself, pain traps you. But when you connect with a cause, with a relationship, with a belief, that pain starts to change shape. That cage you felt locked inside begins to look more like a bridge. One that might not get you out in a single leap, but can carry you, step by step, toward a life more grounded from within. And right now, that alone is already a lot. 17th lesson. Don't hold it in, write it down. My friend, let's be honest. You are not Google Drive. You don't have unlimited storage in your head. So why do you keep trying to store everything up there? What's worrying you? What you didn't say? What you should be doing? What you could have done better? Or what you might say someday? Your mind wasn't built to be a warehouse for stockpiled thoughts. And when you overload it, you don't get clarity. You get anxiety. It's no coincidence that many people who manage to stay calm in the middle of chaos have one habit in common. They write. Know who does it every day? Oprah. Yes, that Oprah Winfrey. She's been journaling every morning for over 40 years, as if her mind needs to be emptied before starting the day. She doesn't do it to publish anything. She does it to understand herself, to let go of what's weighing her down, to begin the day with clarity. Because when you write it out, you no longer carry it inside. And the Stoics knew this too. Seneca, for instance, wrote letters not just to teach, but to survive. There's a phrase that sums it up, though he never said it exactly this way. What hurts me, I write down. For him, writing was a way to filter pain, to organize the invisible. Because once it's on paper, you can see it. And once you see it, it doesn't control you the same way. You've probably had something like this happen. You go to bed, turn off the light, total silence, and suddenly, your brain starts talking. Don't forget that thing tomorrow. You still haven't replied to that message. Did you remember to buy milk? And off you go, thought after thought, until sleep becomes a battle. But what if you had a notebook by your bed? Just that, a notebook, a pen, and the habit of writing everything down before you sleep. It's amazing how much that can change. This isn't about writing beautifully or turning your thoughts into poetry. It's about taking out the mental trash. Write down what's spinning in your mind as if you were telling it to a friend who won't interrupt or judge you. You can write, "That comment made me feel weird today," or even, "I think I'm afraid this will happen again." And if one night you feel like writing, "I feel like throwing everything out the window," then write it. No, you're not actually going to do it, but writing it is already letting it out. And if you don't know where to start, try guided journaling. It's not complicated at all. Start with a simple question. What's bothering me today? And answer it without filters. Another good one is, what would I like to happen this week? Jordan Peterson recommends this kind of structured journaling because it helps your brain connect emotions with logic. It's like putting a name to what's eating you up inside. And that brings relief. Oh, and one important thing, don't correct it, don't read it back, don't analyze it like you're your own editor. Just write. The point isn't to make it perfect, it's to let it go. Because sometimes the only thing you need to calm your anxiety is to stop carrying all of it by yourself. As neuropsychiatrist Daniel J. Siegel put it, writing is speaking without interruption. And when no one interrupts you, even your mind quiets down for a while. And that silence, my friend, might be your first step toward reclaiming the peace you've been looking for. Now tell me, have you ever tried it? Do you write down what you're thinking, or do you just let it keep spinning in your head until it overwhelms you? Share in the comments if you've ever used writing to calm your mind, and what worked for you. Maybe what you share today will help someone else who really needs it. Lesson number 18. You've been down before and you got through it. My friend, if Seneca could see you today, so sad, so lost, he'd probably tell you the same thing he wrote centuries ago. No one is more unfortunate than the one whom adversity forgets, for they are never given the chance to prove themselves. Because yes, even if you can't feel it right now, every blow is also an invitation to remember what you're made of, to see yourself again as the person who has already climbed out of the pit once before, the one who once said, "I can't take this anymore," and still kept going. But of course that part gets blurry, because when pain comes back, it always feels new. It feels heavier. Like this time, it's really going to knock you down. And that's exactly why you need to remember. Go back to the battles you've already fought and won. Because it's not that you've never been here before. It's that you're forgetting you made it out. Let me tell you Matteo's story. He's 32 now. 3 years ago, he lost his mother, lost his job, and fell into a deep depression. He started a blog just to vent, nothing fancy. What's curious is how he started to climb back up. It wasn't a viral video or a life-changing conversation. It was something much simpler. He reread an old notebook where, years earlier, he'd written about what he felt and how he survived a painful breakup. And there, in his own words, he found his anchor. "If I got through that, why not this?" he wrote. And that thought held him up. The mind is tricky. It remembers pain like a pro, but forgets strength in an instant. Sound familiar? Something hits you and the first thing you think is, "Not again, I can't take it." But if you stop, breathe, and make the effort to look back, it's all there. That time you couldn't sleep from anxiety but still showed up to work. That day you thought about giving up but took one more step. That was you. And that version of you didn't disappear. It's just been buried. There's something Lori Gottlieb, a psychotherapist and author of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, says that I find incredibly useful. She doesn't hand her clients pretty quotes, she asks one simple question. What did you do the last time you went through something like this? Because what soothes us most isn't motivational fluff. It's remembering what we've already done. Rebuilding trust in yourself, not through theory, but through your own story. So here are 3 things you can do today if you feel like you can't keep going. First, look for signs of your past battles. A message, a journal entry, a voice note you left yourself when you made it through something hard. Rereading that is like finding a map you once drew. Second, make an emotional inventory. Write down 3 crises you've survived and what each one taught you. Doesn't matter if they were small, every victory counts. Third, write an anchor phrase, one that reminds you you've made it before. Something like, I've climbed this mountain before. Stick it somewhere you'll see it every day. Let it be your personal reminder that this isn't the end, it's a reset. Because sometimes we think this sadness is the worst one, only because we've forgotten how we survived the last. But every scar on your soul is a trophy, a sign that you didn't give up. So if today you're asking yourself, why do I feel like this again? Answer with something stronger. How did I get through it last time? Because that's where the real answers live. And this time you'll rise even stronger, because now you know you can. My friend, everything you've heard up until now has helped you understand why you feel the way you do, and how to begin to move forward. But there's still one last piece. One that, once you understand it, won't just hold you up, it will change you from the inside. And when you get there, everything else will start to make sense. Lesson 19. Surround yourself with calm, not drama. There are people who are like an endless series of disasters, a storm with subtitles, a soap opera no one asked for, but they throw it at you anyway. They text you in a panic because their neighbor stepped into the elevator with them, because the waitress took 5 minutes too long, or because their toenail hurts and it's probably something serious. And you, who just wanted 5 minutes of peace, end up with your anxiety through the roof. Seneca made it clear over 2,000 years ago. Avoid those who constantly complain, because their misery is contagious. And if he were alive today, I bet he'd add, also avoid WhatsApp groups where drama reigns and passive-aggressive comments start flying at 9 in the morning. A Stoic isn't someone who puts up with everyone in silence. A Stoic is someone who chooses very carefully who they share their energy with. Being around emotionally intense people is like spending the whole day in the sun without sunscreen. You might not notice at first, but by the end, you're completely burned out. Therapist Nedra Glover Tawwab, author of Set Boundaries, Find Peace, explains it perfectly. She found that when you're regularly exposed to people who live in constant drama mode, your body reacts as if you were in the conflict, even if you never say a word. Your cortisol spikes, your defense system activates, and your brain goes into alert. The result? Anxiety. And you don't even know why, because it's not always your anxiety. Sometimes it's borrowed, and you didn't even realize someone handed it to you. Think about it. You go to visit your family because it's been weeks since you saw them. You're planning to have a chill afternoon, watch a movie, eat something good, but there they are. That person, the one who turns everything into a problem. The traffic, the food, the neighbor, the economy. You leave with a headache, tense shoulders, and a strong urge to disappear. It wasn't what you did. It was who you did it with. So what can you do starting now? First, do a social scan. Ask yourself, who brings me peace and who drains me? It doesn't matter if it's family, your partner, or someone from your gym. No one has the right to mess with your peace of mind like your head is an emotional amusement park. Especially not if you're working to get anxiety out of your life. Second, set boundaries. Kindly, but clearly. Phrases like, I can't talk about this right now, or let's save that topic for another time, or even just, let's change the subject, are enough to draw your line. You don't have to yell, just be clear. Third, Surround yourself with people who feel like vitamins, the kind who leave your chest lighter, not heavier. People who don't flood your mind with noise but fill it with calm. So now, reflect. What if part of your anxiety doesn't come from you, but from who you share your silence with? If you're working every day to eliminate anxiety, it makes no sense to keep its favorite sidekick as your lunch companion. Sometimes protecting your mental health means having the courage to say, "Not today, no drama, thanks." My friend, you've made it this far, and that already says a lot about you. Not everyone has the courage to look at themselves honestly and begin letting go of what weighs them down inside. But if you still feel a knot, if something's still tightening your chest, don't worry, that's normal. Because there's still one last thing, a quiet but powerful key. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. Lesson 20. Master your career challenges. Work can be a source of satisfaction, but also of frustration. How many times have you felt that work problems are piling up with no solution in sight? From conflicts with coworkers to projects that stall, difficulties at work can quickly throw us off balance. However, learning to see these challenges as opportunities will help you overcome even the toughest moments in life. For the Stoics, overcoming workplace issues wasn't about magic, but about mindset. Marcus Aurelius, while leading the Roman Empire, faced decisions and pressures far greater than ours. Yet he said, "Life is neither good nor bad, but simply a place for good and evil." What does this mean? It means that the seemingly insurmountable workplace situations aren't the real problem. It's our reaction to them that affects us. The Stoics practiced the skill of separating what they could control from what they couldn't. They always focused on their attitude toward difficulties rather than allowing themselves to be overwhelmed by them. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, also adopted this Stoic mentality. His life has been marked by personal and professional obstacles. He grew up in poverty, facing significant economic hardships that impacted him from a young age. When he decided to pursue his vision of transforming Starbucks into more than just a coffee shop, he encountered rejection after rejection from investors who didn't believe in his idea. Can you imagine how frustrating that must have been? However, instead of giving up, Schultz embraced the mindset that every no was just an opportunity to refine his approach and improve his pitch. He accepted the obstacles and turned them into the driving force behind his success, using challenges as a catalyst for innovation. Ultimately, his perseverance led to Starbucks becoming a global giant, demonstrating that the key to overcoming challenges isn't to avoid them, but to face them with clarity and focus, just as the Stoics always advised. Let me share something personal. Some time ago, I embarked on a project that I had put a lot of hope and effort into. I fully trusted a close person to manage an important part of the business. However, due to poor decisions, that person nearly led me to bankruptcy. The stress and feeling of betrayal were enormous. I could have succumbed to frustration and given up, but I decided to apply the Stoic principles that had helped me before. I accepted the situation, no matter how painful it was. I focused on what was within my control, reorganizing the project, taking charge of decisions, and learning from that significant mistake. It was one of the toughest experiences I've faced, but it also taught me to never rely blindly on someone else and to be more resilient. This process not only saved my business, but also helped me grow personally. If you're wondering how to apply this in your life, here are 2 steps to make it easier. First, when facing a workplace challenge, identify what you can and cannot control. Ask yourself, what can I change and what do I need to accept? Focusing on what you can control will enable you to make more effective decisions. Second, don't get stuck in the problem. Take action. Eliminate the temptation to postpone solutions. Create a plan and move forward with small daily actions. Remember, even the smallest steps bring you closer to resolving the challenge. Keep in mind, obstacles aren't barriers. They're the training ground that strengthens us for what's to come. By mastering workplace challenges with a Stoic mindset, you'll see how you can overcome the toughest moments and emerge stronger. Lesson 21. Don't make decisions when you're at your lowest. Have you ever said something you regretted the very next minute? Made a big decision in the middle of a crisis, only to realize later it wasn't really what you wanted? Have you left a place, a relationship, a job? Not because it was the right time, but just because staying hurt too much in that moment? We've all been there. And what's interesting is, even people who seem to have everything under control go through it too. In an interview, Will Smith once admitted that one of the worst decisions of his career, turning down a role that later became a global hit, came right after a big fight with his family. He was in a bad place, his head cloudy, his heart unsettled. And from that state, he said, no. Years later, he admitted, it wasn't a logical decision, it was emotional. And we get it, because when you're deep down, your mind doesn't want to build. It just wants to escape. He didn't wait for the smoke to clear before choosing his path. If he'd seen one of our videos, maybe he'd have paused. Maybe he would have remembered what Marcus Aurelius always said. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And you have the power to revoke that estimate. Because when you're at your lowest, your mind isn't thinking clearly. It's reacting, it's burning. And decisions made from that place aren't directions, they're escapes. Picture this, a team video call. You've spent days preparing a proposal. You put in effort, you're excited, you speak with confidence. And then your boss snaps back, cold. If that's all you've got, better say nothing. That adds zero value. Silence. You close your laptop without a word. You go to the bathroom, look in the mirror and whisper, that's it. I can't stay here one more day. That same afternoon, you skip lunch. Ignore your messages, do nothing except open a new document. You start writing your resignation letter. I can't stay in a place where my work isn't valued. It sounds bold. It sounds decisive. But deep down, it's a cry, not clarity, just pain. The next day, you send it. No conversations, no review of your contract, no plan B. You just needed to feel in control of something. But 2 weeks later, you wake up at home. No routine, no paycheck, no idea what to do next. And what hurts most isn't that you left the job. It's how you left it. No pause, no perspective. Now picture the same moment, but with one key difference. That night, you don't write anything. You go for a walk. You turn off your phone. You give yourself 3 days, you make a pros and cons list. Talk to someone you trust. And then, with a clearer head, you decide. Maybe you still walk away. But this time it comes from calm, not from your wound. So, my friend, if you're having one of those days when everything hurts, step back. Set a rule. When you're in a low place, anything that feels urgent can wait. Nothing you say or do from that state will go the way you want. Slow down. Sometimes silence is wiser than a quick reply. You don't have to disappear. Just let your emotions settle before you make your next move. And finally, write, but not to send. Write to clear the smoke inside you. What's written in anger often reads with clarity, and that alone might be enough to help you realize it wasn't a decision, it was a reaction. No, it's not about avoiding. It's about choosing when. Because when your soul is tired, confused, or broken, any decision you make could become another rock at the bottom of the pit. And this video is about the opposite, about getting out, holding on, rebuilding yourself from the inside. So wait for the smoke to clear. Life always looks different after a good pause. Lesson 22. Choose your attitude. Life is like navigating a ship during a storm. The waves crash hard, and the storm seems endless. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose whether to sink into despair or keep the helm steady with the hope of moving forward. The difference lies not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to face it. You can let the storm overwhelm you, or you can use it as an opportunity to demonstrate your strength. It's in these moments that a mindset of resilience becomes your greatest ally. Attitude is the driving force that pushes us to move forward, even when things seem to be against us. By choosing a mindset of perseverance, we decide not to give in to difficulties. It's a daily decision. a choice that allows us to transform suffering into growth and chaos into an opportunity for learning. For the Stoics, true freedom lies in one choice, the attitude we decide to adopt in any situation. Marcus Aurelius reflected in his meditations that we can always decide how to interpret and react to events. So why let difficulties overpower us? If we choose to see each challenge as an opportunity for growth, don't we become stronger? This choice, to maintain a firm and positive attitude, enables us to overcome life's toughest moments with dignity and strength. What if, instead of resisting, we embraced each challenge with the right attitude? Nick Vujicic is a living example of how attitude changes everything. Imagine being born without arms or legs and facing the world under those conditions. How would you react? Many might give up, but Nick chose to adopt a mindset of perseverance from a young age. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't do, he concentrated on what he could achieve. He started with small things, learning to move, handling devices, and above all, cultivating a mindset of strength. Over time, he became a motivational speaker who has inspired millions with his message. Vujicic didn't just accept his physical limitations, he transformed them into a platform to demonstrate that attitude is everything. His motto, "It doesn't matter the circumstances, what matters is how you face them," reflects precisely how he has achieved what many deemed impossible. Today, he travels the world sharing his story, showing that a positive attitude can turn the darkest situations into opportunities for growth and empowerment. Nick chose not to give up, and that decision has made him a beacon of personal triumph. If you're wondering how to apply this in your life, here are some tips. First, focus on what you can control today. It's easy to get caught up in what we can't change or the limitations we face. But what truly makes a difference is channeling all your energy into the actions within your reach. Ask yourself, what small step can I take today to move forward? No matter how big or small, what matters is that you keep progressing. Second, practice gratitude, even in tough times. When you face a challenge, take a moment to reflect. What can I be grateful for in this situation? By shifting your focus to the positive, you strengthen your mindset and prepare yourself better to overcome obstacles. Like Nick, when you adopt a grateful attitude, you'll find it easier to discover solutions and remain steadfast, even when things get tough. Remember, the attitude you choose today will shape how you face the hardest moments of your life. It's not about changing what you can't control, but about deciding with what mindset you will confront the challenges ahead. Your attitude is your greatest ally. It can propel you forward or stop you dead in your tracks. So when faced with adversity, ask yourself, will I let this situation defeat me or will I choose to overcome it? The helm is in your hands, and with every decision you make, you are building your resilience and strength for the future. Now, my friend, let me tell you something. There's one last key that will not only help you overcome tough times, but can completely change how you face life. Are you ready to discover it? Lesson 23. End the day before your eyes close. Picture this. It's 12:45 a.m. You're lying in bed, phone in your face, scrolling from one video to another without really watching any of them. Your eyes are half shut, but your mind is still buzzing like a TV no one bothered to turn off. And then they arrive, the thoughts. You start replaying what you messed up, that harsh tone you used, the message you didn't reply to, what you should have done but didn't, what you wanted to say to someone but stayed silent instead. The day's over, yes, but in your mind it's still running, as if no one ever taught it how to close the door. And of course, no body can rest like that. No soul can recover, because sleeping isn't the same as resting. And if you truly want to hold yourself up through sadness, if you really want to start rebuilding from the inside, you need to end the day, not just your eyelids. Because when you don't, that invisible weight stays with you. It follows you into your dreams, or worse, keeps you from sleeping at all. Epictetus was clear about this. He recommended ending each day with a kind of soul inventory. Examine what you did, what you thought, what you should have done, and sleep with a clear conscience. For the Stoics, that moment wasn't just a habit, It was a tool for clarity, like a flashlight pointed inward before stepping into the dark. Because if you don't take a good look at what really happened, your mind will make up its own version, and it usually won't be kind. I'll confess something. I learned this too from listening to Mel Robbins. She said something I'll never forget. If you don't close the day collects its debt at night. And she's right. That's why she recommends simple, effective nighttime rituals. Nothing mystical, nothing complicated. Just things you can do every night, until they become your personal refuge. Try it tonight. Not just to sleep better, but to start letting go of the invisible weight you've been carrying. Before you get into bed, leave your phone outside the room. Not on airplane mode next to your pillow. Outside. Away from you. Then, if you can, grab a pen and paper and write down 3 things. Just 3. 1 thing you did, 1 thing you felt, and 1 thing you're willing to let go of. You don't have to explain them. You don't have to make it sound good, just write them down. That alone tells your brain, the day is done. And if you can't write, here's another option. As you lie in bed, whisper this to yourself. Today wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and I let it go. You have no idea how powerful that can be, because it's not just some feel-good quote. It's a way of telling yourself, you're not going to fight the day. You accept it. You close it. My friend, sadness always weighs more at night, because it's when everything else goes quiet. And in that silence, if you haven't brought some order, the chaos gets louder. But if you learn to end the day like someone gently turning off a lamp, little by little the dark becomes less scary. And that's healing too. Because while others turn off the light and bring their noise to the pillow, you choose to shut down the day from within. And right there, that's where the calm you need to return to yourself begins. Lesson 24. The power of patience. Patience holds a power that we often underestimate, especially during life's toughest moments. We expect things to happen quickly, that problems will be resolved immediately. But the reality is that in many cases, the significant changes and outcomes we desire take time. Patience allows us to accept that there is a time for everything, and that not everything is under our control. Sometimes the only thing we can do is trust the process and fate. Although we may not always understand it in the moment, patience will lead us where we need to be. For the Stoics, patience was the art of accepting what we cannot control and trusting that, in time, everything will fall into place. Seneca taught us to remain calm and avoid impulsive reactions when facing difficulties. How did he achieve this? Through patience. He teaches us that when problems arise, the best course of action is to breathe and wait calmly, allowing reason to take the reins. Applying this lesson in our daily lives can help us make better decisions and grow stronger with each challenge we face. If you were climbing a mountain, would you want to reach the top immediately? Or would you understand that it takes time? From the base, the summit may seem unreachable, and every step you take might feel insignificant. Yet it's precisely in that process where patience plays its most crucial role. Instead of getting frustrated for not being closer to your goal, focus on each step, each effort, knowing that every one of them brings you a bit closer to the top. Simon Sinek, author of Start With Why, insists that great achievements require time and patience. He often cites Nelson Mandela as an example of patience. During his 27 years in prison, Mandela not only cultivated patience, but also used it as a tool to maintain his clear vision. He knew that his fight for justice wouldn't be resolved quickly, but that didn't make him give up. Instead of rushing or becoming desperate, he stood firm, step by step, trusting that the right moment would come. Now, imagine this scenario. You lose your job and urgently need to find another one. In this desperate situation, you start sending your resume for every job offer you see, but the responses don't seem to come. It's a tough moment, isn't it? So, how can you develop patience in such a time? First, practice mindful breathing. When you feel impatience creeping in, take a pause and breathe deeply. Inhaling and exhaling slowly will help calm your mind and prevent impulsive reactions. Second, While you wait for those responses, use that time to develop new skills. What can you learn during this period that will help you be better prepared? Perhaps improving your English, learning a new technological tool, or enhancing your competencies. Sometimes moments of waiting offer us the opportunity to prepare for something even better. Who knows? It might lead you to a job better than you initially expected. Finally, break away from the idea of instant gratification. We know you want results now, but learning to wait and work calmly will give you immense strength. Ask yourself, what long-term benefit might I gain if I stop seeking immediate results and focus on building something lasting? Patience is one of the most powerful tools we can cultivate to overcome life's toughest moments. So, when you face challenges that seem unsolvable, remember this. Each moment of waiting is making you stronger, more resilient. With every step you take without rushing, you are building a firmer version of yourself, capable of facing any adversity. Lesson number 25. Move to quiet your mind. Anxiety is like a hyperactive hamster running in a wheel, except that wheel is inside your head, and no matter how loudly you yell at it to stop, the hamster just speeds up. And the strange thing is, sometimes what you need to slow it down isn't to think differently or to find some magic answer, but to move, literally. Step outside, walk, use your body to calm your mind. Psychologist Kelly McGonigal, author of The Upside of Stress, has spent years studying how physical movement transforms the mind. In one of her studies, she showed that walking activates a specific area of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. But here's the most interesting part. You don't need to walk fast or far or do any intense workout. Just moving for 10 uninterrupted minutes, without distractions, is enough to start pulling your nervous system out of alert mode. I didn't know about that study, but I found it out the hard way. A while ago, I went through a rough patch. My closest friends started pulling away. It wasn't because of any fights or drama. I was just changing my habits, my priorities, and suddenly I no longer fit in the same way. I felt lonely, misunderstood, and even though none of it was really my fault, the anxiety kept growing stronger each day. One afternoon, I was so overwhelmed I started eating compulsively, an entire bag of trail mix in under 5 minutes. When I realized what I'd just done, I felt awful. I dropped the bag and walked out. I had no idea where I was going or how long I'd be out. I just walked. And it was during that walk, with no music, no phone, just me and my footsteps, that everything started to settle. I didn't fix my problems, but for the first time in days, I could breathe again. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Has it happened to you too? Picture this. You're working on something important. You've been at your laptop for hours and suddenly, everything disappears. That document you've been writing for days? Gone. System crash. No backup. And all you're left with is that hollow feeling in your stomach and the urge to throw your laptop out the window. What do? Stay there, frozen in frustration, staring at the screen. No, my friend. You get up. You walk. You breathe. You move your body. Because even if you can't fix the problem right away, you can stop anxiety from tearing you up inside. Sometimes, your body is the only thing capable of doing what your mind can't. Break the cycle. So here are a few simple tips you can start using today. Don't overthink it. Just move. You don't need workout clothes or the perfect route. Just step away from where you are. And if you can do it without any stimulation, even better. No music, no podcast, no phone, just you, the air, and your steps. And as you walk, repeat this to yourself like a mantra. I don't need to figure everything out. I just need to walk right now. Because in the end, like Epictetus said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some are not. Anxiety doesn't go away with magic answers. It eases through simple actions that give you back control, and walking is one of them. Lesson 26. Master your emotions. Let me share something personal. Some time ago, during a family gathering, a close relative started making negative comments about me. They said things that they knew bothered me, such as, "You always think you're better than everyone else," or, "You never have time for family, you only think of yourself." At first, I tried to remain calm, but gradually frustration and anger built up. Before I knew it, I responded by raising my voice, creating an uncomfortable scene for everyone. I lost control. After reflecting on the incident, I realized that I had allowed someone else's words to control my emotions and actions. It was then that, through Stoicism, I understood the importance of staying calm even in the tensest moments. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What did I learn from this? I realized that, although I couldn't control what my relatives said or did, I always had control over how I chose to respond. That was the true shift. Mastering my emotions helped me face the toughest moments with a clearer and more serene mindset, where before, I only saw chaos. Have you ever wondered why sometimes a small situation can make us emotionally explode, while at other times, we can remain calm? Psychologist Maya Ten Brink offers a clear perspective on this. She explains that our emotions aren't just automatic reactions. They actually go through 4 stages, and at each one, we have the opportunity to change our course. It all starts with the situation. Something happens that triggers an emotion in us. It could be a comment from a relative or a situation at work. Next, we move to focusing our attention. Here is where things get interesting. What do you concentrate on? What bothers you or how you can resolve it? This stage is crucial because if we choose poorly, our emotions can escalate. After that comes interpretation, how we perceive what has happened. Here we can give a new perspective to what we're feeling. Finally, we arrive at our reaction. By this point, we've gone through the previous stages and have the option to respond calmly or let our emotions dominate us. So, how can we master our emotions? The key, according to Ten Brink, is to pause at each stage and consciously choose how we want to move forward. First, recognize the situation. When you feel an intense emotion arising, stop and observe what's happening around you. Don't rush. Identifying the situation is key to understanding why you feel what you feel. Second, consciously focus your attention. Instead of concentrating on what bothers or frustrates you, consciously decide where you want to focus. Ask yourself, what's most important right now? Or what can I focus on to move forward and not get stuck in this emotion? Third, interpret what's happening from a new perspective. Changing how you interpret events can completely transform your emotional response. Instead of viewing adversity as an attack, see it as an opportunity to practice patience or calm. Finally, choose how to react. Here's the key. At each of these stages, you have the opportunity to pause and decide how to proceed. You can let your emotions take over, or you can choose to act from a place of serenity. The choice is always in your hands. Mastering our emotions is crucial for overcoming life's toughest moments. Now I ask you, in what situations have you allowed your emotions to dominate you? Share your experiences in the comments, and together we can learn to manage those moments better. Lesson 27. Don't talk to yourself like an enemy. Would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself when you're feeling low? Would you say, "You're worthless, you always fail, look how pathetic you are"? Of course not. So why do you do it to yourself? Because often, when you most need to hold yourself up, you become your own worst enemy. And you do it without realizing, not by shouting or insulting yourself, just with quiet, whispered phrases, repeated over and over like a poisonous mantra. Picture this. This morning you opened your email and saw it. "We're sorry, we've chosen another candidate." You closed the tab in silence, lowered your head, and something switched on in your mind. Here we go again. What did you expect? You're never good enough. Then, while making breakfast, you dropped the oatmeal jar. A sigh. And without thinking, you said to yourself, "I can't even do this right." You didn't shout it, but you thought it as casually as telling the time, as if it were a fact. And that's the problem. Those words you repeat when you're down seep into your bones. you start to believe them. And without meaning to, you sabotage yourself in every little action, not because you can't, but because there's a voice in your head constantly whispering, "No, you're not enough. You won't make it." But listen to me, that voice isn't real. You've just said it to yourself so many times it feels true. Like an old parrot that learned a phrase on loop and won't shut up. You never get it right, it's always the same, why even try? And there it is, on your shoulder, all day long, repeating the same tired tune. But that parrot doesn't know who you are today. It only remembers what it heard when you were at your worst. If you keep letting it speak, it will keep shaping how you feel. It's a mix of fears, frustrations, broken expectations, and impossible standards no one asked you to meet. But you took them on anyway. But if you shut it down, if you rewrite its script, you start to reclaim your voice. A voice that doesn't crush you, but helps you climb out of that hole and rebuild yourself for real. Now think about this. Imagine Seneca having a bad day. Do you think he'd say to himself, "You're useless, you screwed up again"? Not a chance. Back then, they'd have laughed at someone who talked to themselves like that. Seneca believed it's not just what you think, but how you say it to yourself. And that changes everything. Because for the Stoics, virtue also meant treating yourself with respect when you're at your lowest. It's not pride, it's dignity. My friend, speaking to yourself with compassion is not weakness. It's the bravest way to tell yourself, "I can get through this." That yes, it's okay to feel broken, but you don't have to stay broken. Things can get better even if you can't see it clearly today. So how do you start changing that voice that's dragging you down? Let me walk you through it. First, write down the phrases you say to yourself when you're hurting. Don't filter them. Write them exactly as they come out. Things like, "I'm a failure," "Nobody cares about me," "This always happens to me." Then breathe, and now rewrite them, as if you were your own mentor or your future self who's already made it through. For example, "Today didn't go as I hoped, but that doesn't define me." Or, "Yes, this hurts, but it won't break me. I'm stronger than I think." And if you want to take it even further, try something that might feel a little weird at first. Record yourself saying those new phrases, audio or video, whichever feels right, and listen to them when you feel like you're spiraling again. It might feel awkward at first, but believe me, it's a powerful way to reprogram your mind and rebuild yourself from within. It's not magic, it's training, and it works. Because like Epictetus said, it's not the event that harms you, it's your opinion of it. And the same goes for you. It's not the rejection, the failure, or the sadness that breaks you. It's the story you tell yourself about it, the way you repeat it, the way you treat yourself when it all hurts. So now, if you're up for it, tell me in the comments. What phrase do you keep repeating when you're down that you no longer want to believe? Write it out. It pulls it out of the shadows. And reading what others share will remind you, you're not alone. There are many of us learning to speak to ourselves differently. Because rebuilding doesn't start when everything gets better. It starts the moment you decide to stop tearing yourself down from the inside. Lesson 28. Filter everything you consume daily. Would you dare drink a glass of contaminated water? Of course not. You know it would harm you. You'd end up with a stomach ache, maybe even bedridden. So then, why do you take in liters of mental garbage every single day without even realizing it? If you wake up scrolling through fights on Twitter, doomsday theories on TikTok, and perfectly edited lives on Instagram, don't be surprised if by 9 a.m. your chest already feels tight and your mind feels like it just ran a marathon. Epictetus didn't have a phone, no Wi-Fi, no endless scroll, but he knew exactly what he was talking about when he wrote, "Don't boast about being admired for your love of learning unless you also strive to be admired for your actions." So how does that apply to us today? Simple. It's not enough to say you care about peace, that you're working on your anxiety, that you value your mental health. If you spend the day watching videos that stir you up, getting into arguments that aren't yours, and comparing yourself to lives that aren't real, what you consume also speaks about you. Your actions, even your digital ones, have to line up with the kind of mind you're trying to build. The more you expose yourself to intense, addictive content, like the kind flooding your social feeds, the more your dopamine levels get thrown off. It's like your mind is constantly overstimulated, unfocused, anxious by default, and you don't even know why. Like you're pressing the gas pedal even though there's no road ahead. And you've probably been through this before. You open YouTube just to look up a simple bread recipe, and 40 minutes later, you're watching a guy scream about global conspiracies, inflation, and the collapse of civilization. Your body hasn't moved, you're still in pajamas, but your mind has crossed 5 countries, 7 conflicting opinions, and 3 end-of-the-world threats. You end up exhausted, irritated, and with a weird pressure in your chest, and you don't even know where it came from. My friend, that's not random. That's mental saturation. So what's the first thing you can do to fix it? The same thing you do when your closet is full of clothes you never wear. Clean it out. Do a digital cleanup. Mute, unfollow, pause. If it doesn't help you, if it agitates you, if it only makes you compare or worry, cut it out. No guilt. Try this. It works wonders. Create your mental corner. That means consciously curating the channels, podcasts, and creators that inspire you, teach you, or bring you peace. Fill your digital space with content that brings you closer to calm, not noise. It's not about living in a bubble. It's about not letting yourself be bombarded all day with things you can't control. And yes, mute people you actually know if their posts trigger you. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. Your mind needs rest, not more stimulation. What if the thing stealing your peace isn't your anxiety, but what you allow into your head every day, unchecked? Let us know in the comments if you're ready to try this little challenge. Unfollow one account that stresses you out, and follow someone who brings you calm. That one simple act could change your entire day. Lesson 29. Break free from stress. Stress is like a rope that binds us, tightening with every attempt to break free. The more we try to liberate ourselves, the tighter it pulls. It suffocates us, robbing us of peace and mental clarity. It's a burden we carry every day, at work, at home, in our thoughts. It's simply exhausting, isn't it? Picture this. You have one of those days when everything starts to go wrong. You wake up late, rush to the station, and just as you arrive, you see the train pulling away. Frustration takes over, and you begin to think of all the consequences of being late to work. Stress starts to build up. You feel powerless, and it seems the day is destined for disaster. Can you imagine Epictetus dealing with a situation like this? He might say something like, "Stress? I've been a slave, lived with one foot in adversity. What is missing a train compared to that?" For Epictetus, stress was just another test among the many life throws at us. His secret was not allowing what he couldn't control to affect him. As he himself said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinion of them." If we change the way we view what stresses us, we can release that internal tension. Stoics practiced emotional control by accepting what they couldn't change and focusing on what was under their control. Marcos Vasquez, in his podcast, discusses how stress isn't necessarily the enemy. In fact, it can become a tool for personal growth as long as we learn to view it from a different perspective. What is that perspective? We can see it as a signal that we need to adjust our expectations or change something in our lives. Thus, it becomes an opportunity for improvement. What keys does Vasquez offer us for managing stress? He emphasizes that regular exercise, proper rest, and maintaining a tribe or support network are essential for reducing the negative effects of stress. Now, my friend, I ask you to reflect. Are you using that stress to grow, or is it consuming you? If your answer is that it's consuming you, it's time to take action. First, start your day with a simple meditation. Dedicate a few minutes each morning to meditate before the day begins. This Stoic practice will help center your mind, anticipate potential challenges, and prepare a calmer response. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, and visualize the day ahead. By practicing this meditation, you'll be better equipped to face stress from the moment your day starts. Second, connect with nature. The Stoics believed in harmony with nature, and being in contact with it can be a powerful stress reliever. Take a walk outdoors, in a park, or anywhere with greenery. As you walk, breathe deeply and focus your senses on your surroundings. The sounds, the smells, the feel of the air. This simple exercise will help clear your mind and reduce anxiety. Third, practice emotional detachment. This doesn't mean you shouldn't feel, but rather that you shouldn't let negative emotions drag you down. When something stresses you, take a moment to ask yourself, is this stress helping or worsening the situation? By distancing yourself from the emotion, you'll be able to manage it more rationally. Whenever you feel an intense emotional reaction, breathe and repeat this exercise. Over time, it will become easier. By applying these principles, you can release that rope that binds you and regain control of your mental well-being. So the next time you feel stress taking over, ask yourself, what would Epictetus do in this situation? Lesson 30. Your peace has to come first each morning. You open your eyes, and boom, the blast hits. No smoke, no sirens, but a silent bombardment goes off the moment you wake up. A bank notification, 3 work emails, that awkward message you left unread last night, and your mental alarm shouting, you're late, you're late, you're late. You haven't even said good morning yet, and already you're dodging fragments of worry, pressure, and guilt. The bed is still warm, but your mind's already in battle mode. And the most absurd part, my friend, is that you pulled the pin yourself. Just by touching your phone, without even giving yourself a minute to breathe, you gave the world permission to invade you. That's how anxiety starts, with a small, everyday, repeated explosion. If you want to start disarming that daily bomb, you have to do something different. Because peace won't just show up on its own. You have to open the door for it. Have you ever wondered why Marcus Aurelius wrote every morning? It wasn't to lecture the world, or because he had extra time. He did it for himself. It was his way of mentally preparing before facing the chaos of the empire. In one of his reflections, he wrote, "Each morning remind yourself, today I'll face ingratitude, betrayal, arrogance." And no, that didn't depress him. It strengthened him. It reminded him that he couldn't control the world, but he could control how he responded to it. That's the key. When you decide how you want to live your day before the world decides it for you, anxiety loses its grip, because now it can't catch you off guard. You're already ready. We're not emperors today, but we do need to rule something just as important: our energy. British ex-soldier J. Alderton talks about the golden hour. According to him, the first 60 minutes of your day set the tone for your entire nervous system. If you start in reaction mode, your body goes straight into defense. But if you begin with intention, it gives you a huge advantage. Focus, patience, mental strength. And the best part is, you don't need a 2-hour morning routine. Just 5 minutes that are really yours. Picture it. A morning without rushing, without the weight of racing the clock, without that urgency pressing on your chest the second you open your eyes. You feel peace from the inside out, like your mind finally got a full night's sleep for the first time in weeks. There's no mental noise, it's just you, with yourself. You breathe slowly. You feel your body aligning with the day. You jot down what you need, and it's like every word frees up a thought you don't need to carry anymore. A deep calm takes over, almost like you're meditating in a villa in Bali, minus the mosquitoes, the humidity, and the need to request time off. And if you want to give it a try, here's a small challenge for tomorrow. First, don't look at your phone for the first 20 minutes. No social media, no emails, no messages. Your mind needs to land before the noise comes in. Second, ask yourself, what do I need today to be at peace? Write it down, say it out loud, or just think it. But make it real. Third, pick one symbolic act, something small that sets the tone for the day. Stretch slowly. Say a prayer if you believe. Play soft music. Look out the window. That gesture, no matter how simple, is like turning on an inner light before opening the door to the world. Because in the end, what if real productivity doesn't start with checking things off a list, but with choosing the energy you're going to bring to them? Disarm that mental shrapnel and put your peace in the front row, not as a luxury, but as your starting point. Eliminating anxiety isn't a matter of luck or of everything around you suddenly calming down. It's a daily practice. It's choosing, every morning, to come back to your center before the world tries to take it from you. It's paying attention to what you consume, how you breathe, what you say to yourself, and who you share your energy with. Every small action matters, because peace isn't something you find, it's something you build. And when you choose to work on yourself with consistency, with courage, and with intention, that anxiety that used to rule over you starts losing its power. If you've made it this far, drop a comment saying, "I choose to live in calm with Stoic courage." Reaching the end of this video is no accident. It means something in you wants to grow, and that already sets you apart from most. Subscribe and share this video with someone who needs it. That simple gesture helps us keep spreading this message of growth. On screen, you'll find a playlist to go even deeper. Click and let's keep learning together.